All right, if you're thinking about making the move to Sacramento, California, pump the brakes, because in today's video, we want to clue you in on one of the top suburbs in Sacramento. That's right, in today's video, we're going to be sharing with you the pros and cons of living in Roseville, California, so you know exactly what to expect.
Let's check it out. What's up everyone? Welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel if you've been here before. We are Lance and Lauren with the Living in Sacramento team, and on today's video, we're diving deep into the pros and cons of what it's really like living in Roseville, California. Now, we've lived in Sacramento for most of our lives, and we've lived specifically in Roseville for the last 8 years. We've lived in all 3 zip codes, and there's a lot of things about the city of Roseville that we absolutely love, but there's definitely some things about the city of Roseville that we don't like so much. So make sure you stick around, because the very last one, the very last con that we're going to be covering in today's video is going to be one that you're really going to want to know about. All right, so before we jump into these pros and cons, let's talk a little bit about where Roseville is located at. Now, Roseville is going to be located about 25 to 35 minutes east of Sacramento as you're going up Interstate 80 towards North Lake Tahoe. So it is going to be more towards the north side of kind of the greater Sacramento metro. It is going to be along the 80 freeway. And Roseville is actually going to be split up into 3 different zip codes. So on the farthest east, closest to Folsom Lake, you're gonna have the 95661 zip code, which is gonna be East Roseville. Then directly in the middle is gonna be Central Roseville. That's gonna be 95678. And then all of the new construction and all of the newer homes that were built kind of post 2000s, or really kind of post 1990, is going to be in West Roseville, which is going to be 95747. Now, it is going to be about 25 to 35 minutes away from Sacramento. It's also going to be probably about 25 to 35 minutes away from Sacramento International Airport, depending on which side of Roseville that you live on. Now, while we've lived in all 3 of those different zip codes, each of those zip codes are going to be massively different. So Roseville is going to have its uniqueness and its characters. Even certain areas, certain neighborhoods within the same zip code are going to feel different, right? There's going to be a newer part of Central Roseville, and then there's going to be the original older part of Central Roseville that's going to be kind of in and around those train tracks. Now, depending on what you're looking for and the style of home, there's going to be a lot of different neighborhoods that are going to meet or exceed your guys' expectations. But that's where we're going to really dig in, really dive into what you guys are looking for, where you guys are working at, and a big factor that we'll talk about a little bit later in this video is things like school districts, things to do, and really what makes it special. So wanted to give you a quick little overview before we jump into those pros and cons, so let's jump right into it.
All right, so the first pro that we want to share with you about living in Roseville, California is going to be that Roseville is centrally located, which is awesome for many reasons. Now, with Roseville being centrally located, you're close to everything. You never have to leave to accomplish any of your errands or tasks. Now, you might be thinking, what do we mean by centrally located? So centrally located, like I said, everything you need is right here, but being centrally located, you're also close to other things that aren't necessarily in Roseville. So you're super close to awesome fun day trips. Like if you want to take a trip up Interstate 80, Interstate 80 runs through Roseville, and you can hop on it and you can go all the way up to Lake Tahoe. Now on the flip side, it's also centrally located when it comes to going the other way for fun day trips. So you can also hop on the freeway, and you're only about a short 2-hour drive down to San Francisco, which is super convenient, especially if you have to work or if you have to travel back to the Bay Area for any type of jobs or any type of, maybe you're a hybrid worker who half the time you work from home and the other half the time you need to be in the office, but you don't want to pay those high Bay Area prices. But the nice thing is you can live in Roseville and you can commute down to the Bay Area quickly and easily. We've helped many people that are in this situation, and they absolutely love living in Roseville.
All right, so for the second pro, what I want to touch on is the fact that Roseville is a very clean and well-maintained city. Now, there's going to be a couple of things that are going to factor into being a clean and well-maintained city. So the first one that I want to touch on is that the city of Roseville has extremely well-maintained city roads, highway roads. Pretty much once you get into Placer County, the roads massively change in comparison to a city like Sacramento. So it is actually funny. We've actually had a couple of you guys who have relocated here, and you guys will say, man, the roads in Sacramento County are just horrible. But you can definitely tell a difference as soon as you get into the city of Roseville, as soon as you get into Placer County, you can definitely tell that this county, this city definitely takes care of their city roadways and their streets. So that's one thing as it relates to being a very clean and well-maintained city. The other thing that I always like to point out, so, you know, especially a lot of you guys are coming from different backgrounds or different situations, but Roseville also has a ton of different beautiful parks and parkways, really kind of all throughout the entire city. It's one of the things that if they weren't there before, they've definitely put them in since then. They're definitely building all of the new construction communities with the thought process of parkways and trails and beautiful parks. And then you also have a couple of different areas throughout the entire city of Roseville where you're going to have mega parks like Maidu Park over in East Roseville. You're going to have Mahaney Park over in West Roseville. You're going to have Harry Crab that's going to be kind of over in East Roseville as well too. So those mega parks are going to be phenomenal. They're going to have everything from batting cages to you know, Maidu has a skate park, they have softball fields, they have baseball fields, a lot of different activities, a lot of different things. They've got play structures. Mahaney's got a sports complex. They've got all the same things that Maidu has, but definitely some pretty cool things. And then really intricately throughout the city of Roseville, from West Roseville all the way to East Roseville, there's going to be a ton of different beautiful parkways and trails, and they're doing a really good job of really interconnecting the trails from one side of the city to the other, because Roseville is getting pretty massive, it is getting pretty wide, and they're doing some things where you can make it from one side of the city to the other side of the city, and you can do it all via bike. So that's really a cool thing. Another thing that I really love about the fact that Roseville is staying clean and well maintained is they're also doing a really good job of managing some of the unmanageable areas of Roseville. So the city of Roseville does have a lot of like open green spaces and just kind of natural wetlands that are throughout the city. And one of the things that you'll see, especially if you come into town, usually in the springtime when things start to kind of go into bloom, is Roseville also has goats. So the goats are super cool. They're really great to take the kids over there, especially when the goats are out and they're just kind of maintaining some of those green spaces and those wetlands.
All right, now the next pro on our list is going to be that Roseville is a premier shopping destination. That's right, there is so much shopping here. It's the main part of the Sacramento Metro where anybody goes who wants to accomplish any of their major shopping. So if you're someone who likes to go to the mall, or maybe you like checking out all of the boutique style stores, Roseville has all of that. Roseville is a premier shopping destination, meaning that people from all across the Sacramento Metro come to Roseville, California to accomplish all of their shopping needs. So we do have the Roseville Galleria. Now this shopping mall isn't just any shopping mall. It's probably one of the best shopping malls in all of Northern California. It has over 240 stores. It has every store you could possibly think of. You've got all of the designer stores like Louis Vuitton. You've also got the tech stores. You've got Apple. You also have a lot of name brand stores like Nordstrom's and Macy's and JCPenney's. And then you also have a lot of boutique style stores here as well. Now Roseville doesn't just have the Galleria. We also have the Fountains. Now the Fountains is located right across the street from the Galleria, and the Fountains is going to be a really cool outdoor shopping center where you can find places like DSW, White House Black Market, Anthropologie, West Elm. There's so many cool stores here as well. Basically any shopping you need, Roseville is going to have everything you want. So if you like going shopping and you're an in-person shopper, then definitely Roseville is going to be where you're going to want to think about moving to, because you don't have to leave the town to accomplish this. Now, when we talk about Roseville being a main shopping destination, people from all over the Sacramento Metro come to Roseville for the Galleria and for the Fountains. So if you're someone who already likes to hang out there as it is, why not just pick Roseville and actually just be close to where all the action is?
All right, so before we jump into our next pro, we do want to remind you that we are licensed real estate agents in the state of California, which means that as much as we love making these videos about the greater Sacramento Metro and really expressing how much we love this city, we actually love more helping you guys out with all of your real estate needs. So that phone number is going to be popping up. We are the ones that answer every phone call, email, and text message, and we absolutely love when you guys reach out to us, connect with us with your guys' plans or questions about moving to the greater Sacramento Metro. So that phone number is up there. Go ahead and pause the video, take a screenshot, give us a phone call, shoot us a text, or send us an email. Or better yet, go ahead and scan the QR code that follows shortly afterwards, and you can book an appointment directly on our schedule. We can dive deep into what your guys' personal situation is, what you guys are thinking about, why you're thinking about making the move here, and come up with a game plan that's going to eliminate a lot of the headaches and eliminate a lot of the areas that you guys see on this channel that might not be a good fit.
So let's get back to it.
All right, so now the next pro that I'm going to talk about for Roseville is actually going to be the hospitals and healthcare systems, specifically in Roseville. So there's going to be different layers to this one. First and foremost, we have a lot of people that actually end up getting relocated for medical, or they get relocated specifically for the healthcare field. So it is nice if you end up having to work in Roseville. There is going to be two major hospital systems in Roseville. So you are going to have Kaiser Permanente, which is going to be on the corner of Eureka and Douglas, and then you're also going to have the Sutter Hospital, which is going to be located off of East Roseville Parkway and kind of North Sunrise. So you've got two major hospitals that are located directly within the city. So as far as healthcare jobs go, there's a lot of different things that you can accommodate with that. The second layer is if you are a family and you have kids that are constantly taking you to the ER for whatever reason, you're within, probably about a 10 to 15 minute drive to a hospital if you've got to take a kid to the hospital. And then the other thing, let's say you're on the other end of the spectrum and you are newly retired, or you're getting a little bit more into your older years or golden years. Sometimes it's really nice to be close and located to a hospital system, right? So, there's two different layers, right? Either A, you're working there, B, you've got to take a kid there, or C, you're an elderly person that maybe has to take several or frequent visits to the hospital, right? Now, aside from the two hospitals, there's also a ton of different outpatient facilities. So Kaiser has another facility over off of like Riverside and another one over off of Sierra Gardens. You've got the Sutter Hospital systems, and then you're also going to have the Dignity group as well too. So you definitely have a lot of different options. I know a lot of people, especially in the retirement stage, they really like to be closer in proximity to Kaiser's. So that's kind of nice. Now, some of the main Kaiser facilities are going to be located, a little bit more East Roseville, Central Roseville. So maybe as you're kind of deciding on what part of Roseville might be the best spot for you. But I would say even if you're at the very tippy furthest part of West Roseville, you're still only going to be probably about 10 or 15, maybe 15 to 20 minutes away from a hospital. So, a lot of that's going to be streetlights and traffic and things like that, but you're still going to be well within a safe distance of getting to that side of town.
Now, the next pro that you definitely need to know about Roseville is that Roseville, there's always something going on. There's always something to do. There's so many fun community events that you can do in Roseville, and there's literally always things happening across the city. Doesn't matter what time of the year it is. So like I said, there's always something to do. In the summer months, we've got a great place called Sunsplash Golf Land. If you like to go mini golfing, or you like to ride go-karts, or maybe you like to ride bumper cars, or maybe you're a thrill seeker and you love the water slides, we do have all of that right here in Roseville. Sunsplash is a place that my kiddos love to go to every summer. Sometimes I feel like they live there during the summer months. They all have season passes and they go out and they hang out constantly with all of their friends there. It's a really great place, and it's really awesome that it's located right in central Roseville, right in the heart of Roseville. Now, I also want to mention community events. Now, some of the different community events that happen are going to be summer concerts happen during the summer months. Summer concerts happen down in Vernon Square area. You've also got food truck events that happen throughout the year down in downtown Roseville. They also do movie nights during the summer where they'll show a different movie every week throughout the summer, which is something that's super fun. People bring out their lawn chairs, their blankets, they hang out, they do a big inflatable screen, and they'll show a family-friendly movie. So it's really cool because a lot of these events are geared towards families, getting them outside, getting them involved, and getting them to meet members of their community. Now, another fun thing that the city of Roseville puts on is their Christmas Village. They go all out. I absolutely love coming down and checking that out. It's in downtown Roseville. Now they do a big tree lighting ceremony down there, and that tree will stay lit through the holiday season. They also do a lot of really cool Christmas things where they've got different businesses that can decorate Christmas trees in the holiday square. They also have beer and wine tasting events, and they have hot cocoa for the kiddos. So it's just a really fun thing to come out. A lot of times they'll have Santa Claus at these places where you can bring your kid out and you can get pictures with Santa as well. Now, another thing that they do is going to be the 4th of July parade. It's a pretty big deal. A lot of people come out, they'll line the streets, and there'll be so many different groups that participate in the 4th of July parade. Whether you're a local football team or cheer team or a sports team, a lot of those types of places, a lot of businesses will decorate different cars and floats for this parade as well. The nice thing is the community will line the streets for this parade, and then everybody throws candy at them. So if you've got kids, they love to come out and check out this event. It's a lot of fun. And then on top of that, the city of Roseville also does a 4th of July fireworks show. Now that happens over at the Placer County Fairgrounds located in Roseville, and it's a free show where you can come, bring out your lawn chairs, hang out and watch a gorgeous fireworks show. Now, one of the cool things is if maybe you live in central Roseville, depending on where you live, you might actually be able to see the fireworks show from your backyard. We have had that in one of our houses before, which was super awesome.
All right, so for my next pro on this video is going to be the public education system here in Roseville. Now, we don't have enough time to talk about all the different grade levels as far as elementary, middle school, and high school, but for the most part, I will say that the school districts in the city of Roseville are above average, above the California state average, and above the national average in a lot of circumstances and situations. So, you know, just kind of giving you a higher overview, since high schools are going to cover a majority of the 3 different zip codes across the city. City of Roseville does have 4 different high schools that service the 3 different zip codes. Now, the high schools are going to be a part of Roseville Joint Unified School Districts. There are a total of 6 in Roseville Joint Unified School Districts, but 2 of them are going to be outside of the city of Roseville. One of them is going to be in Granite Bay, which you've heard us talk about before, and the other one's going to be in Antelope. But as far as the 4 high schools that are going to be located within the city limits of Roseville, you're going to have the original one, which is going to be Roseville High School, which is going to be located in central Roseville. The nice thing is even though this is one of the oldest high schools in the Sacramento Metro, this one's still actually going to be rated a 7 out of 10. The next oldest high school is going to be Oakmont. Now, Oakmont's going to service most of East Roseville, except for the parts of East Roseville where those schools or those houses are going to go to the Granite Bay School District. That's going to be 95661. That's going to be the zip code that's closest to Folsom Lake. It's going to be the zip code that butts up to Granite Bay as a zip code or a city. And we've seen Oakmont improve over the recent years, and that school district is going to be rated an 8 out of 10. Now, West Roseville is going to have 2 different high schools. They're going to have Wood Creek High School, which is going to be the original high school in West Roseville. It's going to be a part of the, I guess, the older, newer section of 95747, which is going to be pretty much from the borderline of central Roseville, which is going to be kind of like Washington, over to Fittyment. That high school is going to be rated an 8 out of 10 based off of greatschools.org. Again, another really awesome school district. Now, the nice thing is we're always seeing these school districts improve year over year. And the last and final high school that's going to be a part of the West Roseville area is going to be West Park High School. Now, this is a relatively newer school. It doesn't have a greatschools.org rating, but I will say this school is absolutely gorgeous. It services most of the newer construction areas of 95747. There is a couple of variables to that, but gorgeous high school. It looks like a college campus. It's got 4 anchor buildings that are going to be 2 or 3 levels high. Gorgeous football facility, great pool facility. It's going to be one of the nicest schools in the greater Sacramento Metro, in my opinion. But you know, as we start to get more graduating classes and more test scores in and through that school, we're going to start to see a better school rating coming out of that. So the nice thing is the public schools in Roseville is definitely a pro. The nice thing is you could pretty much close your eyes and throw a dart at a map, and you're probably going to land in a neighborhood with a grid school district. Now, as far as the elementaries and the middle schools, those are going to be subjective to what neighborhood you guys end up liking. So there's a lot more elementary schools than there are middle schools than there are high schools. So definitely want to make sure that if you're questioning or if you have a concern about what school districts, especially if you have kids that are in their younger years and you want to know what elementary school they can potentially go ahead and reach out to us, because then we're going to be able to answer specifically what you're thinking about. But definitely a pro, in my opinion. Roseville has some of the best in public education in the greater Sacramento Metro.
All right, now the next pro is going to be there's a ton of variety when it comes to housing options out here. In Roseville, you have the 3 different areas. You've got East Roseville, you've got Central Roseville, and you've got West Roseville. Now, you can find homes that have a little bit more land. You can find established homes that are gonna have larger backyards. You can also find brand new construction homes out here in Roseville. Maybe you're looking for something that has an ADU or a next-gen suite. You can find those types of new construction homes in Roseville as well. So it really just depends on kind of what your style is, but there's definitely a house for everyone. So let's kind of break it down a little bit by area of Roseville. If you're looking for a new construction home and you want to be in Roseville, you're going to be on the western side. So that's going to be over in West Roseville. The zip code on that side is going to be 95747. There's tons of builders out here that are developing West Roseville. There's also a lot of new grocery stores and a lot of new shopping going in there. So just because you move into a new construction in Roseville, you're still going to be close to everything, which is something that you want to keep in mind, because a lot of times when you buy new construction, it is on the outskirts, which technically in Roseville it is on the outskirts as well, but a lot of times it can take years before a grocery store will come in or before a gas station will come in. But as they've been developing this side of town, there's already a lot of businesses that are slated to go into that side of West Roseville. So specifically coming soon is going to be a Costco out in West Roseville, which is really nice. People in West Roseville won't have to drive over to Central Roseville to get to Costco, which is nice. There's also a bunch of grocery stores. There's a Rayleigh's One Market out there, and there's a brand new Safeway coming soon. Now, like I said, you can find established homes on larger lots. That's going to mainly be in kind of the East Roseville side. You can find some things in West Roseville that are going to have that. West Roseville is going to be maybe a little bit more packed in, but you can find homes that have larger backyards and that more mature foliage. It really just depends on what you're looking for, what kind of neighborhood vibe you're going for. But the nice thing is that Lance and I have lived in all of these parts of Roseville. We've lived in West Roseville, we've lived in Central Roseville, and we live in East Roseville. And what I can tell you is that if there's a certain vibe or style that you're going for, if you reach out to us and Roseville is the area you want to be in, we can definitely talk through this with you because we know all of these areas very, very well because we've personally lived in all of them. So again, that phone number is going to be popping up real quick. If you want to get more information or if you want to learn more specifically for you, where might be the best spot for you in Roseville, definitely make sure you reach out to us. That phone number is popping up. Like we said, we do answer every single phone call, email, and text message, and we love hearing from you guys.
All right, so for the next pro that we're going to touch on here is going to be all the city services and the municipalities for the city of Roseville. Now, while a lot of people really have a positive opinion about Sacramento County or Sacramento Municipality Utility District, there is a secret about the city of Roseville that a lot of people don't know about unless you've been watching on this channel. So the one thing that I absolutely love is I love running my air conditioning in the summertime. And the nice thing is the city of Roseville has some of the cheapest electricity rates in the entire Sacramento metro. Cheaper than SMUD, way cheaper than PG&E, and it's only to the city of Roseville. So it is one of those things that as you're factoring in your cost, as we're doing the deep dive as it relates to, you know, your expenses, what you can afford, what you can't afford, that is one of the nice things about city of Roseville. They're also all in one. So, you know, minus the natural gas for PG&E, which is going to cover your heating, and if you have gas appliances within the house, pretty much all of your billing is done through the city of Roseville. So your water, your garbage, your sewer, and your electricity bill is all going to come from one service provider. And I will say the other thing, minus just the fact that it is cheaper, and so that's, you know, definitely a plus, but the other thing that I really like about City of Roseville Utilities is their customer service is phenomenal. Their service as it relates to delivering you electricity is always great. So every once in a while, you know, in the summertime, we'll get high wind advisories from PG&E, and there will be certain parts of Northern California where, out of safety purposes for fire, they will shut down certain sections up, especially up in the foothills. We never have those situations where City of Roseville has to, you know, really shut down our power. So, you know, service-wise, it's amazing. Affordability, it's amazing. Customer service-wise, it's amazing. And it's nice because we can actually speak to that stuff. We used to live in Lincoln. We used to have PG&E for our electricity. And, you know, it cripples you in the summertime when you want to run your AC. We're in a city where, you know, we'll definitely touch on that a little bit later in this video, but we're in a city where, you know, you have to run your AC in the summertime. And it would be nice if you could run it freely and not be, you know, not have to deal with those things. So I will say, just off of doing some base level stats, you know, PG&E is about 46% higher than City of Roseville. So that it just kind of gives you some comparison. So just some things to think about as you're considering, you know, your move to the greater Sacramento metro. It's definitely nice when you can factor that in. It's definitely nice if the home already has solar, but if it doesn't have solar, it's just one of those things that it's always a good plus.
All right, now the last pro that I want to share with you before we jump into the negative Nelly side, the cons, is going to be all of the parks and youth sports. So youth sports is something that's really special to my heart. It's really near and dear to me. And something that for me is important because I have kiddos and I like getting my kiddos involved in sports. I also love all of the parks located all across Roseville. So let's talk a little bit about the parks first. So there's so many parks in Roseville, California. City of Roseville takes pride in the fact that they very well maintain these parks. Now, there has been times where maybe a park's been graffitied and you can report it to the City of Roseville and they get out there and they take care of that ASAP. A lot of these parks are built into neighborhoods and they take very seriously maintaining them and keeping them well. The other cool thing is that as they're building new construction, a lot of times in new construction They really just try to pack in houses, and these cities don't plan for parks or areas for families, but that's definitely not the case in Roseville. Even in the West Roseville side where everything's being built out and everything's being developed, City of Roseville made sure that in the plans and development for this area that there's still a ton of parks. There's also trails that connect all the way across throughout the city. And that's something that's huge. It's near and dear to me because I have 3 kiddos, and especially when they were young and I needed to get them out of the house and I needed to get them to wear out some energy, there's no better place to go than an awesome community park that your kids loved. Now, some of the parks that my kids have loved over the years, I think one of their all-time favorite parks is in Roseville. It's actually the park that's gonna be at Diamond Oaks. Now, this park is not very big, but it's got a really cool play structure. It's got like a 3-story slide. It has so many fun things, and we used to go and spend a lot of our time there. But the nice thing, like I said, is that depending on where you live in Roseville, whether it's Central Roseville, East Roseville, or West Roseville, there's gonna be parks all around you that your kiddo can ride their bike to or get to, or you could walk to if that's the case, or you could walk there as well. Currently, we live in East Roseville, and we are located close to a park. And my 12-year-old, she loves riding her bike there and meeting all of her friends there. The nice thing too about the parks is that Roseville is a safe area, so I do feel safe letting her ride her bike and hang out there with her friends. All right, now let's talk a little bit about youth sports. So like I told you guys in the past, I have 3 kiddos. My older 2 are just about finishing high school, and I also have a 6th grader. So youth sports is something that's huge to me. My kiddos have been involved in sports since a very young age. We started around 6 years old. They've specifically done swim team, they've done soccer team. My oldest is a runner now. But the nice thing about Roseville is that youth sports is a huge deal, and they're building it into the new areas as well. So over in West Roseville, there's this awesome, massive soccer park that they're building where they're gonna have all turf soccer fields that are gonna be lit up. It's gonna be over kind of near West Park High School, located on the back side of that. But it's awesome, and I love that they're really thinking through making sure that they're giving a space for kiddos to get outside, be active, be healthy, and enjoy sports. I think that sports are a big deal because it really helps develop your kiddo, and it's just a great thing to keep them out of bad things. Back to sports, so the nice thing about Roseville is that you've got soccer, you've got baseball, you've got football leagues. If your kiddo wants to learn to ice skate, there's an ice skating rink here, or ice hockey, there's an ice hockey rink here. So it's really nice that you really name it, and City of Roseville is gonna have that sport for your kiddo. All right, so the first con that I'm gonna share with you guys, and maybe this is a big deal for you guys, maybe it's not, it's gonna be rapid growth, and with rapid growth comes a larger population. So like we've mentioned before, there's a lot of new construction going in, there's a lot of people moving into Roseville, and the city of Roseville, it's the 2nd largest city behind Sacramento. So the 1st largest city behind Sacramento is going to be Elk Grove, then the 2nd largest city is going to be Roseville. And just with being a large city, there's going to be a lot of population, there's going to be a lot of people, it's going to be a little bit more crowded. So it is something to think about. You know, if you're a people person and you like being around people, it might not bother you, but it's not going to have more of that kind of quiet rural feel. Now, there are parts in Roseville where you can get that feeling, but when you go out into public, you're going to be dealing with more crowds, more people, just because it is a larger city and it is heavier populated.
All right, so now my favorite part of these videos, which is going to be the cons, the brutally honest truth of what you should know if you're thinking about making the move to the city of Roseville. Now, that has been one of our favorite compliments that we've received from you guys that have reached out to us from this channel, is that you guys appreciate our brutal honesty, you guys appreciate that we don't sugarcoat anything, and that we give you the kind of the rundown of some of these areas and just the entire reality of what it's like living in these places. So continue to give us that feedback. We do really appreciate connecting with you guys. We really love helping you guys make a move to this area, especially if it's for the right area. And that's kind of been our biggest thing, is making sure that we've lived in these places our entire life. I've lived here my entire life minus 8 months. Lauren's lived here since she was 12. And we know these places like the back of our hand. So the nice thing is when we hop on these calls with you guys and we get to know a little bit about your family, we get to know a little bit about what you guys like to do for fun, we can probably, eliminate, I would say 98% of these cities and suburbs from Sacramento and figure out what's going to be the best place for you guys to move to. Now, the one that I want to touch on is going to be allergies. Now, this is kind of a blanket statement for all of Sacramento County if you haven't watched any of our other videos, or all of the Sacramento Metro, but specifically Roseville, I feel like as you're a little bit closer to like Folsom Lake, you start to get a little bit closer towards the Sierra Nevada foothills, you start to get out of the city of Sacramento. We just tend to have a little bit more foliage up here, and just in general, our area here is, there's a lot of greenery, there's a lot of landscape, there's a lot of things that can cause you to sneeze. So definitely one of those things, if you're coming from like a drier climate, or if you're coming from let's say, kind of like a coastal climate, it's definitely something that you have to get used to. It's definitely something that you're gonna have to factor in. For the 8 months, I actually lived in San Francisco, and I almost like lost my immunity of living in the Sacramento metro as it relates to allergies. It was very difficult for me to come back after living in San Francisco for 8 months and to deal with those allergies on a daily basis in the springtime. So the nice thing is it's really only seasonal, only kind of happens really bad in the springtime. And it is one of those things where you can factor that into, maybe let's say like a daily Claritin pill or something that's a daily allergy medication that can help you get through that pretty well.
All right, now the next con, and this is probably personally one of my biggest pet peeves and one of the biggest things I don't like about Roseville, is gonna be it can get really overcrowded during the holiday season. So like we mentioned in the pros, Roseville is a premier shopping destination, meaning that people from all over Sacramento Metro will come here to do all of their Christmas shopping. So there was a time when we lived in West Roseville and we would have to commute over to East Roseville. We'd have to travel through Central Roseville to get there, specifically going by the mall. And during the holiday months, traffic over there can be an absolute nightmare because everybody's trying to get to the mall, everybody's trying to get their shopping done. It just gets really congested and really hectic. But it is something to think about because a lot of people come over to Roseville to accomplish a lot of their errands and their shopping, especially during the holiday season, so it can get really crowded. And it's one of those things that a lot of times makes me maybe not necessarily love Roseville during that time of the year because I hate sitting in traffic, especially when it can take, 10 or 15 minutes just to get through 4 lights, just because of how heavily populated it is over by the mall. But there's always workaways, there's always workarounds when it comes to that thing. If I would have been smarter back then, I would have just traveled a different way. Didn't necessarily have to go that way, but then once you're in it, you're in it. So you know how that goes. But that's definitely gonna be probably one of my least favorite things about Roseville, is that it is crazy populated when it comes to holiday shopping, and it can be a lot busier during that time of year.
Now for the next con that I want to touch on is actually going to be one of those things that's a kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like we are, making these videos for you guys who are relocating to the area, but the negative that comes with you guys relocating to the area is the increase in congestion and traffic. So Roseville is the 3rd largest city in the greater Sacramento metro. It's one of the 5 or 6 areas that has ample new construction, and it has the biggest opportunity for growth. And they're definitely taking that on as much as they can. But with that growth comes increased congestion and increased traffic. So a couple of different things to think about. One of the things is just your daily traffic on the road. You've got more people, especially as you start getting in towards like the Highway 65 area, towards kind of the north side of Roseville or even the west side of Roseville. A lot of those areas grew so fast that the streets and the infrastructure of those streets didn't catch up with it, right? So we're starting to see widening projects on Blue Oaks and Pleasant Grove. Both of those 2 roads are kind of the main ways to get from the freeway to the new construction areas of those 2 cities. And really, a 2 or 3 lane road going either direction is just not cutting it. So, they're taking out all the kind of the BS greenery that's in the middle. They're widening the roads. Part of that is increasing the traffic because of the construction. The other side of that is you're just having more people move to the area. Now, the other thing to kind of think about as a negative, I guess, is going to be the fact of just increased congestion or increased people when you go out on date nights, or when you guys go out to dinner, or where you guys go out to some of these restaurants that are going to be located around the fountains. So keep that in mind. It used to take, on a Friday or Saturday night when you were going out on a date night, it used to take anywhere from, maybe 15, 20 minutes waiting, at a restaurant for a family of 2, and maybe 25 minutes for a family of 4 or 5. Now, Fridays and Saturday nights, it's definitely busy. So it's one of those things where you might be waiting for 30 or 40 minutes for a table on a Friday or Saturday night. So maybe shifting your date night to a weeknight or something else, but just the overall congestion of more people moving here. Now, we're not saying that we don't want you guys to move here. It's just one of those things that we want you to keep in mind if you're relocating here is, it's definitely getting more congested. It's more so for those people who have already lived here. They already know what it used to be like. Just food for thought. One of those things that we want to throw out and be brutally honest when it comes to planning your date nights or planning, you know, mom and dad time or things like that.
Now the next con for living in Roseville, California is going to be Roseville doesn't have a lot of public transportation options. So if you're someone who has to commute and you're relying on public transportation, it might limit where you live. So we have had clients reach out that maybe they have to commute down into Sacramento and they want to take public transportation, and then they're paying attention to which buses or which bus stops are going to take them specifically down there to help lower that commute. So it is something to think about. Now there are buses that will travel in and out of Roseville that will take you down to Sacramento. However, there's minimal stops. So there's one in West Roseville, there's one in Central Roseville, and there's one in East Roseville. And if you're relying on maybe walking to that area or riding a scooter, you're gonna have to think about specifically the housing and where you're gonna be located closer to those stops. Now, for public transportation, we do have city buses that run all across the city. We have dial-a-ride, those types of things as well. But we don't have like a major subway system or a major train system that's gonna take you from Roseville down into Sacramento. We do have a light rail, but it doesn't pick up till outside of Roseville. There are buses though that'll take you to the light rail station, but the light rail itself is a little bit limited based on where it stops. So it is something to keep in mind if you're going to be planning on using public transportation. It's going to take a little bit more planning for us to help make sure we get you in the right area, but this is something that we've helped people with in the past, so it's not a big deal. We can help make sure that you're by the right area and we're thinking through all of the public transportation that you might need to use. Now, another thing about public transportation is, like I said, we do have dial-a-ride, we do have city buses. Now the city buses are great. They go all across Roseville. There's different lines, different places that you can pick them up. Most neighborhoods have a stop that's somewhat close by, so it's not a big deal. It's more so the bigger commute travels that maybe you got to go from Roseville to Sacramento, or if you got to go from Roseville to the Bay Area. We do have an Amtrak train that comes into Roseville and you can catch that and take that into the Bay. The only thing is time-wise, it takes a long time because there are a lot of stops on the way from here down there. So it's just something to keep in mind. Public transportation is going to be limited. It's not going to be like a, you know, hustle and bustle of New York City. But then again, on the West Coast, we've been known for our limited public transportation, so it's probably not a big surprise.
All right, so we're wrapping this thing up. I've got 2 more cons. Lauren's got 1 more right after this. But the next thing that I want to touch on is going to be the fact that this is a con that a lot of people have told us about, specifically talking about City of Roseville, is going to be the fact that the homes are just closer together and there is not a lot of them, right? So that one's going to be kind of layered and specific towards the new construction. So we get a lot of you guys who reach out to us specifically wanting to talk about new construction developments, and Roseville is going to be one of the top 3 in the area, top 5 as it relates to just ample space for you guys to purchase new construction homes. The downside to that is all of these new construction builders are, you know, just packing these homes as tight as they can. You're gonna have the minimum fire setbacks between houses, which I think is maybe only like 3 feet to your fence line, or maybe it's 5 feet to your fence line, 10 feet total between you and your neighbor. But you know, some of these builders, like, they've got the house and the windows lined up right to where you could pretty much see your neighbor and whatever else they're doing in their house. But that's been a negative feedback. That's been one of those things where people want the new construction feel, they just don't want the new construction lot. And so that's definitely a downside. And I'll even layer it in one bit further, especially since we're kind of touching on new construction and that being a definite con, is the fact that almost all, if not all of them, are going to have some form of a Melrose tax. And so we've also gotten your feedback from that one as well too. People who have moved here, people who are already living here, that they just don't really like Melrose tax. And it sucks that the builders are kind of passing off the bill towards you guys, but pretty much for the most part, all of the new construction homes that you guys ask us about or have questions about, most of them are all going to have some form of Melrose tax, which is just going to be an added property tax. It's going to, you know, show up in your monthly payment. And honestly, the only thing that you would know is if you are maybe comparing a neighborhood that's a new construction to a neighborhood that's not. So keep that in mind. You know, I know people kind of hate that word Melrose. They hate extra property taxes. They hate giving extra stuff to Uncle Sam, but that's one of those things where, you know, if you're only considering new construction, the lender is going to factor your monthly payment based off of all the taxes that they're already aware about for that development. So they show it as a separate line item on, you know, your conversation with the builders, but it really is all just going to end up in your monthly payment as a form of property tax. So just kind of keep that in mind. You know, if you're not comparing new construction neighborhoods to older neighborhoods, there's pros and cons to both of those, but that's going to be one of the major cons that we get about, especially new construction, and that kind of gets tagged on along to Roseville because that's going to be one of the main areas that you can find new construction.
All right, now the next con for Roseville, California is going to be Roseville has a lack when it comes to higher education. So if you're moving to Roseville, maybe you've got a college-age kiddo and you want them to go to a UC school or a state school, or maybe you want them to go to a community college. Well, City of Roseville doesn't have any of those located in its city limits. So there are community colleges that are located close by. Specifically, there's one in Rockland, which is going to be Sierra College. There's also one in Folsom, which is going to be Folsom Community College. And then you've got American River College located down in Sacramento. But in the heart of Roseville, there is not higher education. So if that's something that's important to you, or maybe you want to be close to that, or heck, maybe this is a pro for you because maybe you don't want to be around all the college kiddos, that is just something to keep in mind, that City of Roseville doesn't have an option for higher education when it comes to after high school. So just something to keep in mind. Maybe that bothers you, maybe it doesn't, maybe you're like, why are they even sharing this? But like I said, we like to make sure we give you all of the points. We like to make sure that you know everything you're getting into before you make a move to this area.
All right, and our last and final con, the worst thing that if you're not prepared for it and you're not ready for it, it can be definitely the thing that makes you want to pack up and move away from City of Roseville or Sacramento Metro in general, and that's going to be the hot summers. We've talked about it before. We're going to stress it and make sure that we talk about it again. If you are not ready for the hot summers here, it is a deal breaker for a lot of people. We have had more people move out of Sacramento because of the heat than any other reason in the Sacramento Metro. People want to talk about politics, people want to talk about crime, people want to talk about, all those other things that get slated into California. We have not had a single person leave California for any of those reasons, but we have had lots of people leave California because of the heat, because they can't handle it, because they don't want to handle it. Now, keep that in mind. We have had people that have relocated for other personal reasons, but we have had a common theme of people who have gotten here from the Bay Area who are not used to it. We have had people that have decided not to be in Sacramento because of the heat. Once they've gotten here and they've started to look at homes in the summertime when it's 110 outside. Not very fun. And then we have had people that have been longtime Sacramento or longtime City of Roseville residents where you get older and you just don't want to deal with that heat, because it can be one of those things where you completely alter your lifestyle and you completely alter how you operate and how you run your day, especially if you're trying to get all your errands done, you're trying to get your activity done earlier in the day. So keep that in mind. If you are not very well versed to the heat, that may be a factor for you. But I will say most, if not all, homes in the Roseville area are going to have some form of central heating and air. So you will have AC. If you don't have AC, you might want to consider getting it, but that's going to be the number one or the absolute worst thing that you need to know if you're thinking about making the move to the City of Roseville.
All right, so that was going to be everything that you need to know about Roseville, California, all of the pros and all of the cons. Now, some of these pros are some of the reasons that we personally love calling Roseville home, and some of the cons are things that we just think that everybody should know about prior to making the move here. We like to be brutally honest, and we like to share with you guys the truth, which honestly is the feedback that we get from you guys as to why a lot of you like watching our videos.
So we definitely don't like to sugarcoat things, but we definitely love to express how much we love the greater Sacramento Metro, how much especially we love the town of Roseville, or the city of Roseville. And that's where we're also going to say, as much as we love making these videos for you guys, we also love helping you more with all of your real estate needs. So that phone number is going to be up again. We absolutely love it when you guys reach out to us. So give us a phone call, shoot us a text, or send us an email. Or if you'd prefer to book directly on our calendar, you can go ahead and scan that QR code, and we'll see you on the next one.